Speaking with Al Pitrelli, he's the music director of the Trans-Siberian Orchestra and the lead guitar player. And the Trans-Siberian Orchestra will be coming to town on Sunday, December 3rd at the Gila River Arena. And tickets, there's actually 2 shows to make the viewers aware. There's 2 shows at 3:30 and 8 p.m. And they're both benefit shows. The first 3:30 show is benefiting the Operation Santa Claus organization. And the second one, $1 from each ticket goes to, for both shows, $1 each ticket goes, the second show, I mean, for 8 o'clock is for the Arizona Animal Welfare League. And on the phone with us, Mr. Al Pitrelli. Al, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, buddy. Thanks for taking some time out to talk to me today.
Yeah.
A little interference, but we'll try to get through this.
All right, sounds good. Really quickly, for the 2017 winter edition of the TSO Tour, which is how most fans refer to it, the acronym TSO, how would you say it's going to differ a little bit from previous tours?
Well, what we try to do all the time is we stay true to the rock opera that Paul O'Neill had written called The Ghost of Christmas Eve. That's become like a perennial favorite with a lot of people, and there's a bunch of folks in your community that come out to see us year after year, and I affectionately refer to the defenders. They enjoy the story so much they've embraced the story as part of their own, and we just love presenting that story live every year, because one of the things I realized is that everybody in the audience can insert their name or situation to Paul's work and make it about themselves, and that's the basis of a good art, is to make it your own. But at the same time, we try to change it up every year, just because we never want to repeat ourselves. So musically, the front of the show and the back of the show will be different. Production-wise, it's so over the top this year. It's so much different than in years past, so everything will look different as well. And that's pretty much the center of the TSO philosophy, where, no matter what, a little familiar and a little new, and we'll just keep it special year in and year out, because we never ever want to repeat ourselves, nor do we just want to rehash the same stuff and say, we got away with that last year,
Right. Yeah, the first time I saw it actually is when you guys started playing in arenas, and I want to say 2005 was the first arena tour the TSO undertook. In 2005, you did an arena tour, basically. And I think at that point, and then as time went on, you started adding more matinee shows, so it really does seem to grow every year.
It has. I mean, go back to 1999 when we did our first tour. It was 7 cities.
Right.
We had, I don't know, like 2 buses, a 24-foot box truck, and a fog machine.
Right.
Like one of my children growing up, or one of Paul's children growing up, or any of our children for that matter, from infancy to adolescence to young adulthood, I mean, everything gets bigger and everything changes.
Right.
So the fact that we can't really move Christmas,
Right.
There's a finite window between where we are today, whatever today's date is, and New Year's. And the fact that 14,000 seats is not enough for the show in a particular community is just, it's a testament, to Paul's artistry and his vision and his genius.
Right.
The fact that, 2 shows came to be, I mean, listen, I used to kick and scream 15 years ago, or whatever it was that we started doing that. Now I don't know what I would do without a double show day, because, I'm so excited to get into the venue. I'm so excited to play.
Right.
The 2 shows, it's awesome. I feel bad for our crew. I mean, they're the ones who really have to bite it.
Right.
And, it's a very hard show to get up and running for 8 o'clock, 3 in the afternoon.
Yes. To go back a little bit, and you mentioned Paul O'Neill, you're the founder of TSO, and to go really quickly, he did pass away earlier this year, and on behalf of the station here and all the TSO fans, our sincere condolences on that, for the loss of him.
Well, thank you very much for saying that. I mean, on a personal level, it's horrible, it's tragic. I mean, I know how I feel about it personally. Paul and I have been the best of friends, and he's been my big brother for 22 years, not to mention my boss and producer, and the guy who gave me my job. I mean, I can only imagine what his wife and his daughter and the immediate family is continually going through.
Right.
The only thing I can relate it to is, my father died almost 30 years ago, and that's a hole in your heart that stays forever, and that's an empty chair at, dinner table that will always be vacant.
Right.
I know his family at the helm of this ship is continually to steer the ship, to see Paul's, vision always be in the forefront of everything, where, he wanted this to live forever, and he wanted this to live long past, we leave this planet, and I have all the faith in the world in the family and management and everybody else who's who's running this, that will continue on, and every note that's played and every pyro hit that goes off will be in honor of the man's genius and his legacy.
Right. As far as the to go back a little bit to the roots of the band, so to speak, TSO is, I guess you could say, an outgrowth of a band called Sabotage, who was well known in the hard rock community, like I said, and more of a cult band, if you will, for lack of a better way to put it. And in point of fact, Christmas Eve Sarajevo, the song that TSO is mostly known for, is, in point of fact, a Sabotage song. How was it where you basically just renamed it essentially Trans-Siberian Orchestra? What was the reasoning for that, and was that kind of the sprout that led into TSO?
Well, I wish I could tell you that I was inside Paul's brain when this whole lightning strike occurred. I was in the same room with him, but
right.
I was never able to keep up with him. When his synapses started firing,
Right.
I was left at the starting gate.
Right.
All I know is that when we recorded Christmas Eve Sarajevo in 1995, I knew that there was something artistically and musically that was something very special.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea how Americans and radio was going to react to it, but when it hit radio, it was absolutely the lightning strike that everybody was waiting for.
Right.
Because nobody had ever heard anything like that before.
Right.
Every year we had the #1 requested song in America, winter of '95, and after that, Paul just had this idea of, hey, you know what? I want to write an entire story around this. And, that was what came first. Christmas Eve and Other Stories was based around that one song in that moment in time.
Right.
When the name change came, I don't remember exactly when it was. I just remember he said, we're going to call this the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Nobody's going to buy it anyway. You can call it whatever you want,
Right.
I had no idea that it was going to become what it's become. And, again, so I'm a guitar player. I'm Paul's musical director.
Right.
But this kind of goes way past my skill set of understanding and having the foresight to see what was going to be in the future. That was, one of the many, many gifts that Paul has.
Interesting. Let me go and remind our viewers really quickly. I'm speaking with Al Pitrelli, the music director and guitarist for the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, who are coming to town on Sunday, December 3rd at the Gila River Arena. Tickets are available at the Gila River Arena box office. And there are 2 shows, a 3:30 and 8 p.m. show, and both are $1 for each ticket. For both shows goes to 2 different organizations. The Operation Santa Claus is for the 3:30 show, and the 8 o'clock show is for the Arizona Animal Welfare League. That is correct. Al, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You're right. And we always like to stay involved with the community. We have so many great friends there, so many relationships that have been developed over the years.
Right.
And this goes back to, Paul's an altruistic way of walking through life,
Right.
where, he always wanted to help somebody, whether it was a $5 bill out of his pocket to give somebody cab fare or food, or, if everybody in your community is buying a ticket, it's $1 from their money that's going back into the community. We just want
Right.
to tap everybody on the shoulder and say, hey, it's the holidays. There's always people that could use a little extra help.
Right, and that was very important for Paul. He really wanted it to be a philanthropic event, so to speak.
Yeah, Paul wanted to change the world, a song at a time, $1 at a time. I mean, he has this unwavering hope and love for all humanity.
Right.
And no matter what was going upside down globally, Paul always saw, the good in it, and he wanted to capitalize the good. And he didn't have time for negativity. And, another one of the many, many gifts that he bestowed upon us.
Okay, as far as the comparison between, again, Sabotage and the TSO, what were you joined the band in the mid-90s, if I'm not mistaken. And when you were approached to join the band, what do you felt you brought to the band?
I don't know. I know that when Chris Oliva passed away, they had a few people get involved with the band. But, Paul was looking for something different. I think probably one of the things Paul always told me is that he really, really loved the way that I could put words into the notes on the instrument. I come from a completely different school than a lot of other guitar players, where I'm a fan of you know, Jeff Beck and Gary Moore and Neil Sean and Steve Lukather and very lyrical guitar players. When we got together for the first time to work on the Dead Winter Dead record and I started playing, Paul with me goes, that's kind of what I'm looking for, because when the lyric stops, or when the singer stops, the lyric should stop. And I was in his story and his knowledge. Also, I could relate to that story a lot because I spent a lot of time in Yugoslavia before the war, so I understood. So I had an immediate connection with the song, the lyric, and the whole story behind it. Past being a guitar player, I spent my life as a student of the art form, and I speak the language pretty fluently. So he knew that if he had something he needed to have to be accomplished musically, you know, I could speak to everybody in the band, the orchestra, the singers. I can communicate with the department heads on the different crews. They can communicate with me. So I just became, you know, his kind of liaison between his brain and you know, what would go on here.
Right.
I enjoy that role very, very much because as a musician, I'm never bored. You know, there's always something that's going to challenge me. I mean, you know, playing some of Beethoven's symphonies are not really that simple. Yeah. And so I'm able to explore everything musically and in a communicative way. You know, I really enjoy, you know, getting the job done, we'll say.
Also, too, what would you say is the, at the end of the day, because the Trans-Siberian Orchestra has also done spring tours as well. Are they still doing that?
Well, the spring tours have been a lot of fun because we have a lot of music that we love to perform live. I mean, the Beethoven tours were extremely well received. I remember when we went to Vienna, Austria, we performed Beethoven's last night in Beethoven's, you know, town.
Right.
Yeah, that was a little intimidating at first, but the fact that the audience, you know, like, we got standing ovations at the end of the great composer's works meant that, okay, listen, we're doing something right, we're paying our respects and putting a bit of a twist on it. I enjoyed the spring tours very much. I look forward to doing more of them in the future. But, you know, we're just, listen, you know, tomorrow's another day. I'm more concerned with getting through tonight.
Right.
But hopefully, you know, we'll continue to tour. We have a lot of great music that's been recorded that's non-holiday. And there's a few records that are kind of like in the works that we can't wait to complete and put out as well. So.
To go back to your career, as far as this, I want to mention 3 artists you've played with, and just to kind of give me a little brief, you know, experience that you had. If you can think of one, it's impossible, I realize, but just for the sake of, you know, just to figure it out. You played with Alice Cooper back in '89, I believe, around the Trash era, for the album Trash era, and then you've played with Dee Snider in a band called Widowmaker, and then, of course, Megadeth with Dave Mustaine. What was would you say is your favorite experience of the 3?
I think all 3 of them were incredible experiences. Again, I'm a student of this art form, and I got the opportunity to play with, you know, 3 men who were just like legends. Right. In rock and roll. Right. Alice introduced me firsthand to theatrical presentations of music in an arena or in a theater. When he became Mike Fry on stage, he was no longer Alice Cooper. He was literally the lunatic in the straitjacket. Right. And I watched him connect with that song on a whole different way. Right. You know, Dee Snider on Long Island, where he comes from, and Twisted Sister was, you know, like the biggest band in the world. So to sit down and spend a lot of time with Dee, composing music, talking late at night on the bus, you know, again, the man's an incredible work ethic. He was a great teacher as well, and a good friend. And you know, Dave Mustaine, same thing. You know, you're talking about somebody, you know, who was kicked out of the biggest band in the world and started the next biggest band in the world. Right. You know, he taught me that when you get punched in the face, you don't lay down, you get back up and you punch back. Right. And Dave taught me something a long time ago that was very important. He told me, you know, listen, just always stay teachable and you'll continue to grow. So, you know, everything I've learned to, you know, first thing this morning, every day you learn something, every day you create something, and you carry those life lessons with you, and hopefully they help. No, that must have been an incredible experience to work with all 3 of them, and it's quite a resume. Well, it has been. It's been an incredible run. Every so often I'll look over my left shoulder and go, wow. Right. This is, you know, it's been 30 years. Right. You know, at the top of the food chain musically, and working with, you know, I mean, you know, like you had mentioned Alice and Dee and Dave, I've had the opportunity to sit down and work with, you know, Paul Rodgers and Joe Walsh and Tommy Shore and Celine Dion, and wow. I mean, you know, just so many over the years. You know, to sit in a room with Steve Howe and Jeff Downs and create music on an Asia record. I mean, you know, I've worked with people that I grew up admiring and still do admire. You know, these are the guys that, you know, I put the records on and I try to just emulate them and hopefully one day, you know, be like them. Never mind be in a room with them, you know.
It sounds like you really value diversity in music.
Very lucky.
Yeah. It sounds like you really value the diversity in music.
Oh, I think that that's what keeps it alive.
Right.
You know, I think if I just did one thing all my life,
right.
You know, I don't know if I get bored of it, but, you know, I certainly, me being me, I feel like, I feel musically frustrated because there's so much great music. Listen, music is an interesting thing. There's, you know, a finite amount of ingredients.
Right.
You know, according to the theories that govern Western music, you only have 12 notes.
Right.
You know, why would I paint myself into a corner stylistically when Beethoven and Zeppelin shared the same ingredients, yet they were polar opposites in their expressive, you know, endeavors? Well, you know, so there's so much out there that I could never possibly get bored. And anytime I kind of like, I'm rolling my eyes, you know, I need to hear something else. You know, I'll just go back to Miles Davis, I'll go to Charlie Parker, I'll go back to Rachmaninoff, I'll go back to Gladys Knight, you know,
right.
And I'll listen to the newest stuff. I mean, nothing makes me more excited than listening to, like, Disturbed.
Right.
Or you know, any new band that's out there. You know, it's just like, wow, this is awesome.
Right.
You know, and I have my older children enjoy their music, their generation. My two little girls listen to a lot of Disney stuff. So
right.
I'm constantly being, you know, exposed to new music, you know, ways of expressing yourself musically that I wasn't aware of before. And listen, you hear somebody like Joe Bonamassa pick up the guitar.
Yes.
You know, for somebody from the younger or a younger generation, just is this guy great?
Right. Just speaking of to Al Pitrelli from the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and the Trans-Siberian Orchestra will be here in town on Sunday, December 3rd, doing two shows at 3:30 and 8 p.m. Both are benefit shows. The 3:30 show is a benefit for the Operation Santa Claus. The 8 o'clock show is a benefit for the Arizona Animal Welfare League. $1 for each ticket sold will go to those charities. And just to wind down, Al, I just got to ask you one more question. We just spoke earlier about the passing of Paul O'Neill. I have to believe that, I'm going to take you back to July 30th, 2015. That had to have been one of the highlights of his life, to combine a reunited Sabotage with the TSO and at the, I believe it's called the Wacken Open Air Festival in Germany. Take us back to that, and before I let you go, and what was the experience like, and how proud of it was he?
Well, that was something, you know, the funny thing about Paul is that he's always thinking 20 years down the road. He had told me probably in 2002 or 2003 that one day he's going to do a festival with both bands, both productions. He's going to double everything. He's going to have, you know, he just had this in the back of his mind. And I looked at him and I go, God, I hope this day never comes to be. It sounds like a mess. And then fast forward to, you know, 2 years ago at the Wacken Festival, where all of a sudden it was laid out in front of us that this is going to be a situation. It was hands down the most terrifying endeavor I ever was part of, because no sound check, 35 degrees, raining, muddy, windy, everything that could have gone wrong, or everything had the potential of going wrong. Yet we were so well prepared, so well rehearsed. We had the most incredible crew ever. That it was like the biggest night of our careers. And I looked at Paul and I go, you know what? I remember like it was yesterday that you told me we were going to do this, and I can't believe we pulled that off. You know, so that being said, that's a little bit of foreshadowing. So, you know, the man was always looking down the road years and years ahead.
Right.
And what he has planned for us for the next 20 years, if you think that was something, wait till you see what we pull up next.
He actually had an idea that I read just recently that I guess he wants to, he had planned to, was in the process of reworking 1989, the Sabotage album, Gutter Ballet, into a Broadway show. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's one of many things that's sitting kind of in the bullpen waiting to come out, you know. I mean, I'd say there's at least 3, maybe as many as 5 things that he and John Oliva have been putting together and kind of, you know, either reintroducing or just letting be interpreted by TSO. So when we get done with this rodeo this year, when we put this winter tour to bed, and like when like the front of 2018, that's when we're going to sit down and say, okay, in what order are we going to accomplish all these things? And
Right.
I can't wait to get them done. I can't wait to, just continue on the work and the legacy and the vision. It's going to, it's just the greatest thing to be part of. I mean, for the audience to watch what we do is awesome, but for me to be on the inside looking out, to watch the audience watching what started out as just a really good idea 22 years ago and watch it come to fruition, it's the greatest gift ever, because, you never know what's around the corner with us.
Right. All right, Al, thank you so much. Like I said, just a reminder, do you want to say anything to the TSO fans out here? You guys are going to be here on December 3rd. Anything you want to say to the fans and to wind things up?
Yeah, just looking forward to coming back to Arizona. So my wife comes from there, so she's got a lot of family there. It's like a big homecoming. We have a lot of friends. We look forward to doing even a bigger show than last year. And thank you guys from the bottom of all of our hearts for the support and the love and just, making us part of you guys, because you're all part of us as well.
Great. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure and an honor to speak to you, Al. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you on Sunday, December 3rd.
Well, for me as well, brother. Thanks so much. You're all my best.
Take care. Bye-bye.